Hey, why don't we take a moment to talk a little bit about comic related movies and TV shows, okay? Okay. Hey guys, before I start this episode, my intent for this one was to talk about movies and television shows related to the comic book genre. But unfortunately, I talked for way too long, and I'm going to split this up into two episodes at least. We're going to start off talking about the Age of Ultron, and then next time we'll talk about the other stuff that I was going to talk about. So if you see some weird editing, that's why. Enjoy. So welcome to Kevin's commentary on comics. Today I want to do a little quickie hit reviews of various Marvel and DC related TV and movies. In some case, big screen and small screen, old stuff, new stuff. Case in point, let's get to our first one, Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, other than maybe talking about it a little bit, I didn't do a full-scale review. I'm not even going to do a full-scale review on this one. But it just recently came out on Blu-ray and available through digital download on various different sources. So I thought, hey, let's take a little visit at the Age of Ultron and see what we thought about it. Now, when I first saw it in the movie theaters, I left the theater thinking, hey, that was good, but maybe a little underwhelmed. Probably because it wasn't going to beat out the original Avengers movie. I knew that going in, but I still had high hopes that I would have the same joy that I had over the first one. Again, nothing wrong with the movie, full of action, certainly, but just something didn't set right with me. So I waited until the Blu-ray came out, and when it comes to my Marvel movies, I go ahead and buy the Blu-ray DVD instead of just streaming and owning them that way, because I think the picture quality is much better if I'm reading it directly from a disc as opposed to having it streamed through my internet connection. So I had a chance over the weekend to actually sit down and watch Avengers Age of Ultron for the second time only, and here are my thoughts. But before I get to them, I will throw up a spoiler alert because I am going to reveal some key points of the movie and what I'm going to talk about. So first and foremost, I think the weakest part of this movie was Ultron, not James Spader. Let me make sure I make a clear distinction here on what I'm talking about. James Spader was excellent as Ultron. He has a very unique voice, and he fits perfectly as the evil Ultron robot. But what I'm talking about is the CGI that was done on Ultron. Now, I talked before previously about how I think the Beast in the X-Men movies should be CGI, just like the Hulk is, just like Ultron is. But when I was talking about that, I did make comment to the fact that I thought Ultron's CGI may have been a little too detailed. The way they do these things now is truly amazing. It allows the actor to actually emote and act, and then it gets transferred to the computer-generated character of whoever they're playing. So they put all the little dots and everything on their face. It used to be the ping pong balls. Now it's various dots and lines or whatever. And they go ahead and animate all the facial characteristics. Well, with Ultron, it seemed like it was a little too detailed, like I said before. It caught all of James Spader's very unique facial tics and mannerisms to the point that I felt it got a little distracting. Now, one of the complaints that the movie got was that Ultron seemed a little too nice, I guess, in a way. I mean, yeah, he was evil and he did kill people and he wanted to take over the world, but he did it in such a nice, funny, calm manner. And this bothered me after the first showing because I knew it was James Spader so much that it took me out of the movie a little bit. But the second watching, I got past that and was able to dive down into it a little bit deeper. And if you think about it, Ultron was created by Tony Stark in the movie, and it's only natural that some of Tony Stark's mannerisms, humor and smarminess and snarkiness and all that would come through in a artificial intelligence written by Tony Stark. Now, in the comics, as we all know, all true comic fans know, Tony Stark did not create Ultron. It was Hank Pym. And that was another thing that I didn't like at first when I heard this was going to happen. I was like, well, why not bring in the guy who actually created Ultron? Wouldn't that be a good story too? But if you think about it, the story itself is a hero creating this ultimate evil robot. And the anguish and regret and guilt of having to do that. And they were able to still tell that story in the Age of Ultron with Tony Stark as the creator as opposed to Hank Pym. And I thought it worked out well. It was something I did not notice the first watching, but I did notice it in the second watching. I thought they handled that very, very well. The next thing I noticed in the movie, they didn't really show off the Vision's powers too much, did they? I mean, in the comics, he can turn intangible and go through walls and all that type of stuff. And he can also go diamond hard and be the densest diamond. He can change his mass to be the densest diamond and heavy and all that other stuff. But they didn't really explore it. There were a couple of scenes where he was obviously shoving his hand through a robot, an Ultron robot, and causing him to explode, but not. That could have been just, if you didn't know anything about the Vision, you could have thought he just punched through him. And it wasn't really him putting his hand in there and then materializing it just slightly enough to cause it to disrupt and blow up like he did in the comic. Actually, one of his greater powers is that ability to do that. But they just kind of focused in on the fact that he's the holder of the mind gem, and we saw a blast come out from that for sure. And he can fly and all that type of stuff. But not a lot on, the basic powers of the Vision, which I thought was a little disappointing, and I hope they explore that a little bit more in his next appearance, which will be, I believe, in Captain America Civil War. And finally, and here's where the spoiler part really comes in, did they have to kill Quicksilver? Couldn't he have been gravely injured when he stopped all those bullets as opposed to actually dying? I mean, I understand in big budget movies like this, you have to have some sort of emotional impact. But at the same time, do you? I don't know. I mean, they obviously set up the movie thinking it was going to be Hawkeye that gets killed because they show his family and, you kind of think, oh, he's going to go off with this one last battle. He's going to come back and redo the floors and the dining room or whatever. You really kind of think, uh-oh, Hawkeye's going to get it. But it turns out to be Quicksilver. So they had to sacrifice someone, I guess. Now, according to Kevin Feige, the head muckety-muck of Marvel Studios, he said that dead is dead in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. He may just be saying that because Marvel keeps a pretty tight lid on stuff like this. But I kind of believe that this is probably going to be true, mainly because over at Fox, they own Quicksilver as well because he's a mutant and they own all mutants. And I wonder if the agreement that allowed Marvel to use Quicksilver in this movie may have been based on the fact that said, hey, listen, we're only going to use him once. We're killing him off. We just need it for this storyline because, it really fits in with the Scarlet Witch and all that. And plus, Fox really did probably, I don't know if I want to say a better job, but a more effective job with Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past. That one scene is really kind of infamous where he's stopping all those guys from shooting and he's running around in slow motion, knocking bullets out and changing things. They did a really great job, but it's not really Quicksilver that I know from the comics. Quicksilver is he's probably in my top 10 favorite Avengers. So I was disappointed that they killed him off. And plus, I thought, the actor, whose name escapes me right now, did a really good job. And the effects they did for Quicksilver were nothing different than they do in the Flash TV show, but still effective. So I was kind of ashamed. I was hoping he would stay alive and be part of the new Avengers, who will be featured, I guess. They were featured at the very end of Age of Ultron, but will carry forward in Captain America Civil War. So that new team is Cap and Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, Vision, War Machine, and the Falcon. I think that's all of them. And I'm sure Hawkeye will be in there somewhere. But it would have been cool if Quicksilver was in that team as well. But it is what it is. They had to have this emotional tie-in. Maybe they'll pull a Phil Coulson with Quicksilver and bring him back. Because, he wasn't dead as dead, for sure, but that may have never been their plan. And, again, you could always read in between the lines of what Feige says. He says dead is dead in the Marvel Universe, but did he say completely that Quicksilver was dead completely? I don't know. I remember that quote, but I don't remember the whole specifics of it. Maybe I should have researched it before I started talking about it. Let me just say, didn't like the fact that Quicksilver died, and we'll leave it at that. Really looking forward to Captain America Civil War. It's very possible that that movie may even be better than Age of Ultron as a more Avengers 3 or 2A or 2.A or 2.1. I don't know how you would call it. But that comes out next year, I think in May. Looking forward to that. That should be really cool and exciting. So I'm Kevin. That was my commentary. Did you watch any of these things? Did you rewatch Age of Ultron for the second, third, fourth, or 26th time? Did you get anything more out of it from the second viewing or subsequent viewings that you did from the first? It's such a big movie to really absorb all of it when you watch it the first time in the theater, I think is a daunting task. So watching it again really helped me to enjoy it that much more. I'm probably going to watch it again. I look forward to reading what you have to say about it. I mean, Tony Stark creating Ultron, good thing, bad thing. Ultron itself, how did you feel about him? Did you have the same thoughts I did that maybe the CGI was almost too good, that it just didn't feel like Ultron, or it felt too much like James Spader? I don't know. And again, I want to stress, Spader did a great job as Ultron. I just thought Ultron looked a little too detailed. The mouth, the way they would constantly move and smirk, and he, look like this. I don't know. It didn't fit for some reason. I had a hard time with it. That, I think, was really the worst thing about that movie. And it's a very minor worst thing, okay? Just want to make sure that's clear. Let me know in the comments below. And I'm sure I will discuss other comic-related movies and TV shows in a future episode. If you want to hear about them, click on that subscribe button. It'll make sure you get to see what I got to say about stuff. But until then, I want you to do me a personal favor. Go out, have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.